I am delighted to be joined by Conor Hughes this afternoon. Dr. Conor Hughes. It's obviously a lot warmer out there in South Africa than it is here in the UK. I'm envious. So, Conor, you are presenting at the NLP Conference in 2024, and your topic is the power of a learning tribe. So, do start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and your presentation.
Well, this is something that I've been aware of for a very long time. And if I go back to 2010 was the first time, that was a year after we formed our little coaching and training company. And we created our first online product. And it was a product called Crossroads. And it was to assist people normally in about their 50s in South Africa who were being retrenched, who were being made redundant.
Right.
It was not long after 2008 financial meltdowns, etc., etc. And the big corporates that we were working with, they were getting pretty tight on what they were willing to do for those people. And those people had huge needs. They weren't going to retrain. They weren't going to necessarily walk easily into another job. So we created this. Looking back, it's always amusing to look back and think, yeah, we thought that was a good idea then. So it was a 20-module online experience, and we intended it to be followed up by, at some point, by a 1 or 2 day workshop, depending on the corporate's requirements. And people loved it, except that they all said it's too long. So we said, but isn't it valuable? And they said, it's not that. It's just that being retrenched is a lonely thing. And studying on your own makes it even lonelier. And that set off a lot of alarm bells for me, because we knew we were moving into, in terms of training and coaching, we knew at that point we were moving into an increased dependence on technology. So I could see those two things coming together, this idea of studying being lonely. And I remember right back to my school days when I was applying to universities, and certainly at university, it can be an incredibly lonely experience to study and not feel you've got some kind of tribe around you. And I know when I did my own NLP studies, part of it was done remotely. So we did this big audio thing first.
Yes.
And then we had a week in the room. Second half, absolutely brilliant. I was in my tribe. It was so good. Even when I thought, I don't understand what they're talking about. And we'd all go off into the coffee room and go, what's she on about? Does anybody know what's going on? And that was so powerful for me. So I recognized that in the room tribe formation, which we are, as trainers, we are educated to do that and to do it magically. But it is unconscious, that tribe formation on both sides, whether it's trainer or students. When you move that to a lot of self-paced work, and there are very few trainers that I'm aware of now who are entirely in the room. So pretty much everybody's got a varying amount of self-paced work. And I look at it and I think, I know there's no tribe there, because it's not the other kind of magic. It's not wave a magic wand and poof, there's your tribe. You sent them a book each. It's not like that, when it's remote. And that's whether it's technology based, or whether it's send them a book or send them a bunch of videos or whatever. It's not magic. And I believe that, I think I've come to the conclusion that the magic we know how to make in the classroom as trainers, we are kind of a little overdue in taking that magic wider and saying, from the moment you engage with any resources, whether it's in the room, whether it's an audio, whether it's online, whatever it is, we can deliver magic. And I don't believe that in general, the training community has yet picked up the right models, has got to grips with the excellence that is out there, but isn't in the NLP community yet. So what I'm trying to do with this presentation is to say, guys, let's get the magic from the first moment, because we have to create it. It won't do it by itself.
Hmm.
So that's what this is really about. It's about saying, let's look at what we're doing in terms of exercises, games, experiments, discussions, blah, 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 blah. How do we, when it's self-paced, when it's remote, how do we leverage that into our level of excellence that we have in the room? So that's really what this is about. It's not saying you're doing it wrong. It's saying you're doing it without sufficient insight yet. So let's get that insight. And there are models out there that we should be looking at because they're really powerful. And in good NLP fashion, we have to take those models, turn them into our language, our way of seeing the world, and get that magic going straight away. Yes. So that's really what it's about. Tribes don't form themselves in education.
Yeah.
We could, as a community of trainers, I think we could be gobsmacking, if you excuse the phrase, in our ability to do this soup to nuts. I want the audience to get a real feel for how to take their existing resources. And I always think of them as, it's very much panto season soon, hey? It's very much Cinderella, you know.
Yes.
Here are my videos. Okay, shame. When did you last look at them? Oh, have they got subtitles? Are they more than 9 minutes long? Oh, okay. And there's these little Cinderella things sitting looking at us. And we need to get them into, you know, a ball gown, glass slippers, the works. And we can do it. It doesn't mean throwing them away. It means rethinking what we're doing with them and delivering it just as we do, magically.
Yes.
That's really where this is coming from.
Brings to mind an online remote course that I'm doing at the moment, not in the world of NLP, and oh my goodness, it would be lovely to sprinkle some sparkly magic on that, that's for sure. I've never done anything so dry and boring and tedious in my entire life.
And it's so unnecessary, Karen. The stuff is out there. It's time that as a training community, we grabbed hold of it, shook it, and took all the juicy bits, and we know how to do that. So I want to share what's happened when I've shaken it so far.
Exactly. So what practical learnings will delegates take away from your presentation, Conor?
I think they will come away with, they'll certainly come away with an understanding of what's going on, what the problem is, and really what the research says about what there's now a huge e-learning community out there, and they are making discoveries by the day. So what is it they are doing, and how are they thinking? What are their beliefs about how we can do this? How do we put that ball gown on? That's the first thing, to understand the structure of the problem and understand the structure of what is understood but not yet integrated into NLP.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think, to look at what they've already got. And everybody who comes to the talk is going to have a different set of resources that they use self-paced. No two are going to be this well. There'll be an overlap. If I know our history of handing on exercises verbatim through the next generation, there are actually things we can do with that would be great fun. I'm thinking now of the representational systems profiling, that little questionnaire thing. We can have such fun with that in terms of generating community at a distance. The trainer doesn't need to be involved, but they do need to put effort into it. So it's looking at, what have you got? What could it look like, and what's the simple route of getting from A to B? And putting that ball down on. So I think there's that awareness of what I as a trainer have got and what I can do with it, so that I don't have to, and we don't have to rewrite this stuff. We need to think about it differently. It's at a process level, a structure and process level. It's not the content that's a problem. It's what we're asking them to do with it. So that idea of what have you got, how can it shift? And lastly, I actually want the participants to go away with slightly changed beliefs about what can be done,
Yes.
how easy it is to do it, and what is I believe there is an enormous payoff to all of this, and I'd like them to believe it as well.
Yes.
That's it. If you believe there's nothing in it, it's
Yes.
just work for no reason, then you're right. We all know that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't believe that. I believe there is a massive amount of extra value we can add, particularly to the younger generations of students coming through.
Yes.
And I want our participants at this conference to go away going, right, I'm in for a different future.
Yes.
That's what I want. So that's what I think they will take away from it.
Perfect. So so is there anything that delegates can do before your session to give them sort of like a deeper understanding or a deeper experience during your session?
Very much have a look at your own self-paced work. Have a think about it. Have a think about who's talking to whom. Who are the, if let's say we go nominalization here and we say, this is, the self-paced resources are a communication. Right, okay. Between whom? Who is giving? Who is receiving? Is there a feedback loop? Is there any kind of information coming in the opposite direction? What do you expect the user, the reader of your resources, reader in a general sense, to have done with that actively, as opposed to I've read it? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, but what else? What else
Yeah.
have they flexed their muscles at all? Have a think about that, and also ask the classic NLP question. Somebody comes to you after they've read all the resources and said, I read all the resources. I was a very obedient and diligent student. How do you know? How do you know they've read it? I have a good friend who certified as a master prac years ago. And when I talked to him about self-paced work, he said, oh, I did. Yeah, they sent me some of that. Never read a thing. And his trainer never knew because he just smiled and nodded. So the question, how do you know what the students are doing how do you know what they're doing to use it? How do you know they're getting it? Think about what you've got now and come along and let's see what kind of pumpkin into glass coach transformation we might be able to do really easely.
Wonderful. Yes, this is all applying to this course that I'm doing at the moment. That isn't an NLP based course, and I really wish it was. And I really wish they'd had your magic on it. But hey ho. So Conor, what inspired you to want to present at the NLP conference?
Originally, I've got a very odd and interesting background. Karen, you know me well enough. I come out of the artificial intelligence community.
Yes.
And even when I was doing my research for that, I was still more interested in the human bits. And I don't mean AI in the current state of that's a misnomer at this stage. But I was interested, my doctorate is in how to generate, you love this, how to generate explanations by asking questions. It doesn't get any more NLP than that, really. No. So I was kind of set up, I didn't know about NLP at the time. But because of that, I look at NLP in a slightly different way. And having reached the latter stages of my career, I think I've got a lot of experiences I would dearly love to share. None of us know how long we've got. And ANLP is such a kind of an adopted home for me. You know, I thoroughly enjoy interacting with ANLP. And last year's conference we had a blast. We played, we tried new things with technology. We had a really good time. We learned a lot.
Yes.
So it was a no-brainer. Am I going to apply? Oh yes, please, because it's such fun. I hope that I'm contributing okay, let's chunk up. I'm contributing to changing the world. by doing this. That's what I want to do. That's where we're going with this. That's why we train. That's why we want magic all over it. I look around the world today and I think we need a lot more magic, and we need
yes.
and we need a lot more people understanding what it is we're teaching and what we're so yeah, to change the world in a nutshell. Not much.
Sounds okay. We learned a lot from your presentation last year, and certainly from a technological perspective, and we're very grateful for that continual learning. So thank you, Conor. As I said, Conor is presenting at the NLP Conference in 2024 during the virtual weekend, which is on Saturday the 10th of February. And because you're in South Africa and we're fitting with the UK time zones, you are presenting at 9 a.m, which will be GMT, because the clocks won't have moved by then. So you will still be in summer and we will still be in winter.
We will be very hot by February, very hot.
So. And we'll probably be very cold.
We can't even it out somehow.
Yes. So thank you very much, Conor, for taking time to explain a bit more about your presentation. And we look forward to seeing you in February.
Thank you so much, Karen. Hope to see everybody there.